Boys here again today with an early review for you guys. Last night I got to check out the new action comedy Tower Heist starring Ben Stiller, Eddie Murphy, Matthew Broderick, Tia Leone, Michael Pena, and a whole shitload of other people. It's a pretty huge ensemble. Basically Ocean's 11 with comedy, and it's in a tower. It's really just about these people led by Ben Stiller who work in this tower in the heart of Manhattan, and during the Thanksgiving Macy's parade, they're trying to pull off this heist of stealing $20 million because the guy that they work for has taken pretty much all of their life savings and blown it. So it's basically about them trying to rob the guy that they used to work for to get their life savings back and make everything right. I didn't have really any expectations going into this movie for two reasons. One, I do not like Ben Stiller. I do not think he's really made a good movie in a long time. I like Tropic Thunder, that's a great movie, but besides that, he hasn't really made a lot of great films. And the director, Brett Ratner, has made some pretty bad movies, so I'm not going to even name them, but I'll just put X-Men The Last Stand as one of them. I wasn't really looking forward to the movie that much, but I got a chance to see it like a week early yesterday, so I wasn't going to pass it up. So I'll get to what I liked about the movie first. I think that the best part of the movie is how much you like the characters. There's a lot of people that you get to know the characters in the first like 20 minutes or so, and they really get you to like them a lot. They're just genuinely nice people. They have, genuinely good attitudes about their job, even though it's not under the greatest conditions. A lot of people that you really root for, and while they're pulling off this heist, while it is like incredibly implausible that like these guys that know nothing about stealing things are pulling off this master heist, or trying to pull off this master heist, or doing this stuff, you still want them to prevail because they have a good reason behind it. The thing that surprised me is that the script is actually surprisingly clever at points. Like, there's a lot of twists and turns in the movie, and I thought that was kind of nice because there's something involving the vault that you wouldn't think. There's a lot of different character twists, and I liked how a lot of the jokes went full circle. There was a lot of really funny jokes that went full circle, kind of like 30 minutes or less, but not as funny as those. And Brett Ratner's direction wasn't bad at all. I thought it was actually pretty solidly directed, especially for a comedy. And I also wanted to mention Christoph Beck, who does like all the scores for the Todd Phillips movies. He does all the scores for The Hangovers and Due Day and stuff. This is his best score. It's not just like elevator music type score like in those other movies. There's actually a pretty good score during some of these tense scenes when they're pulling off the heist, and I like the score surprisingly a lot, for a comedy at least. The best part about this movie is Eddie frickin' Murphy. I heard recently he was quitting the family films that he's been doing for like the past frickin' decade and going back to the comedies, R-rated comedies. I know he's hosting the Oscars this year, and that's great because I hate the Eddie Murphy comedies, the children's movies at least. But I love the 80s Eddie Murphy. I like the raw Eddie Murphy. He makes a great return here in this movie. He's not, cussing every 5 seconds, but he's back to the, unkid-friendly stuff, and he's definitely the best part of this movie. He had the biggest laughs from the audience, biggest laughs from me, and he's just a lot of fun to watch. I like the banter between him and a lot of the characters, and he pretty much made the movie decent for me. I won't say Tower Heist is one of the worst comedies of this year. It's definitely not one of the better ones. It's not as bad as Bridesmaids or as bad as The Change-Up, but it's still just kind of a incredibly forgettable, kind of okay whatsoever comedy. Very long, like the film's like 1:50, and that's kind of the same problem I had with The Change-Up too, is like they were both around the same running time, and while this movie didn't feel as long as The Change-Up, there is a time where you're like checking your watch. I mean, the crowd was loving it, but I think even they were kind of dozing off after a while. And the setup, like, they don't even talk about the heist until like 30 minutes into the movie, and it feels a lot longer than that. The movie almost felt like over 2 hours. So there is a lot of build-up. I did kind of like the build-up, though, because you got to meet a lot of the characters, and that was worth it, but there was a couple points where they just kind of had jokes that weren't going anywhere, or skits that weren't really that funny. It was just dragging out the runtime. The movie, like I said, is not super funny. The only times I had that I actually laughed out loud or chuckled was mainly Eddie Murphy, because he's not even in the movie till 30 minutes too, because they have to recruit him for the heist because he's the only actual criminal in the gang. A lot of the stuff he says is funny. He's kind of doing like a black stereotype, but it's pretty funny, some of the stuff he says. And also, like I mentioned, like when the script does the really clever full circle jokes, those are really funny, and they had the crowd dying. I mean, the crowd was laughing like every like 30 seconds, it seemed like. They loved this movie. I don't know if they were stoned or something, but it's a screening audience, so they're usually a little bit more easy to please, but still, I mean, they were having a freaking ball. I thought the movie wasn't terribly funny, but I definitely had some good chuckles here and there. And also, the thing I have the biggest problem with is that the heist doesn't feel like a big deal. Like, it's a big deal, obviously, it's the whole plot of the movie, but like they rarely spend any time discussing it. I mean, these guys are not, you know, the guys from the town. They're just average everyday guys, and somehow without like a real distinctive plan, they managed to pull this off, or try to pull it off at least. So that was kind of weird. It like they started off at one scene, and then they're like trying to start the heist right now, and you're like, wait, aren't you supposed to have a plan? Did I miss something? Like, how are you guys doing this? So that didn't really make sense, and that was one of the biggest plot holes for me. Overall, I didn't hate Tower Heist. I just think it's like a super forgettable movie. I mean, it's coming out more Thanksgiving season, so if you want to take your mom or something to see, I'm sure she would enjoy it, and you might even enjoy it. I think because the crowd that I saw with was loving it, but for me, it's just forgettable. Like, I pretty much forgot it the day after I saw it, or a couple hours after I saw it, actually. It's definitely not one of Ben Stiller's worst, and it's actually one of the better directed films by Brett Ratner, so I'm going to give it a mild rating. I'm going to give it like a 2.5 out of 5. Nothing great, nothing bad. So that's my review of Tower Heist. Subscribe, rate, and like, and tell me what you guys thought, and see you guys tomorrow, actually, for my Part 6 Friday the 13th review.